All right, kill the lights. I'm Ghost, and I'm Spectre. So look, if you're here, you're probably pretty damn good at what you do. You pop shells, you find vulnerabilities, you write up a nice clean report, and you cash the check. It's a good living. But you're here because, let's be honest, it's not enough anymore, is it? You're bored. You're sick and tired of being a glorified spell checker for some dev's crappy code. You see the real work happening out there in the shadows. The kind of operations that never hit the news, the breaches that move markets or change a country's leadership, and you've got that itch. You want to know the real difference between finding an unlocked door and having the blueprints to the whole damn building. And that's why we're here. We are going to take your comfortable little bug bounty checklist, pour gasoline on it, and light a victory cigar. We're here to break you down and build you back up. Welcome to the shadows. We're going to teach you how to haunt the damn wires.
And that, right there, is the goddamn gospel. This isn't about learning a new tool or hoarding some hot new zero-day. This is a change in your operational DNA. A pen tester's job is done when they write the report. Your job starts at the proof of concept. We are not just finding an open RDP port. We're using that port to become the domain admin, to read the CEO's email from his own desktop, and to walk out the digital front door with their entire 5-year plan before they even knew we were there. That first foothold? That's not the prize. It's the rusty key to a janitor's closet. We're going to teach you how to use that key to forge a master that unlocks the boardroom, the server farm, and yeah, the CEO's liquor cabinet.
Okay, let's get into it. This is the roadmap for the long, dark journey we're about to take. We kick off with doctrine. That's the mindset. Then we walk the kill chain step by step. Reconnaissance, where you'll learn to see the invisible lines connecting everything. The proximate attack, where getting up close and personal gets real creative. Then C2 and post-exploitation. This is where you learn to live inside their house, using their own tools against them, so you look like just another part of the furniture. And finally, exfil and evasion. How to get what you came for and vanish like a fart in the wind. So pay attention, there's going to be a test. And if you fail, you're looking at a long, long stay in a not-so-nice government-run hotel.
Exactly. So let's talk doctrine. I was on a gig once, shadowing a pen test team from some big-name firm. I watched this kid run a Nessus scan, find a missing patch on a server, write it up as a critical finding, and just move on. He checked the box. 2 hours later, I used a simple logic flaw in that same app's password reset to get admin, pivoted to the database, and walked away with their entire customer list. See the difference? He followed a checklist. I followed the mission. The tradecraft we're teaching is all about a persistent, objective-driven methodology. The mission is all that matters. And for our missions, we need the right kit.
Which brings us to your new favorite toy. This is Bruce. Now look, the Flipper Zero is cute. It's a fun little gadget. It made hacking accessible, which is, whatever. But it's a closed system. It's a consumer product. Bruce is a weapon. It was born in the field because guys like us needed something cheap, disposable if we had to be, and endlessly flexible. It turns a piece of off-the-shelf ESP32 hardware into an apex predator. Unlike the Flipper, which is a neat little walled garden, Bruce is a completely blank canvas for whatever particular brand of mayhem you need to cause. You can write your own modules. You can script complex, multi-stage attacks. You can bolt on whatever hardware you want. In the right hands, it's a goddamn waking nightmare for any blue team out there.
All right, so let's talk about the body for this killer brain. For our money, the best platform you can get is the LilyGo TM bed with the external CC1101 module. Now why this one? Simple. Mission flexibility. Let me paint you a picture. You're in a coffee shop. Your target's a corporate VP sitting at the next table. As he gets up to leave, you brush past him and clone his building access badge. That's the NFC. You see he was on their guest network, so you hop on, run a quick port scan. While he's at the counter, his laptop is open. You do a walk-by, plug in for just 2 seconds, and inject a PowerShell payload. That's the bad USB. And on your way out the door, you snag the signal from his car's key fob. That's the sub-gigahertz radio. You just hit 4 different attack vectors with one device, from your pocket, in under 3 minutes. That is the power of an integrated, mission-ready piece of kit.
Okay, hardware's in hand. Time to load the damn bullets. Now for most of you, most of the time, the web flasher is your friend. It's quick, it's easy, no fuss. But we don't plan for most of the time. We plan for the absolute worst-case scenario. I was on a job once, deep inside a SCADA facility. The only machine we could touch was an air-gapped Windows XP box that hadn't gotten an update since frosted tips were cool. No internet, and USB policies so tight you could only get a serial connection. The web flasher was totally useless.
And that right there is when you need to know esptool.py. Flashing locally over a serial connection is a fundamental skill. It's scriptable, it's reliable, and it works when everything else has gone to hell. Know both, master both.
So Bruce is alive. Now it needs its marching orders. That comes from the bruce.conf file. Think of it as your mission manifest. And you can get really clever with this. You're not just setting a Wi-Fi password. You're programming logic. For instance, you can set it up to run in total stealth mode, just passively sniffing for one specific target SSID. The second it sees that network, it can automatically switch profiles, light up a cloned evil portal with a custom landing page, and, if a target connects, it can trigger a bad USB payload to open a reverse shell back to you. It's about building pre-programmed automated attack chains, not just tweaking a few settings. The prep work you do in this one file will determine, I'd say, about 90% of your mission success.
And now for your first and maybe most important lesson of the day. Read this slide. Burn it into your brain. The Bruce.conf file is a loaded pistol, and most of the time, it is pointed directly at your own balls. We knew a guy, a real cowboy, who got his entire crew rolled up by the feds because he left a Bruce device behind on an op. The blue team found it, pulled the SD card, and what do you think they found? The Wi-Fi credentials for his covert C2 server, sitting right there in that clear text file. They unraveled his entire operation, identified every one of his partners, everything. All because of one unencrypted text file and a moment of being a sloppy asshat. You treat that SD card like it's a goddamn plutonium core. Don't be that guy.
Okay, doctrine is set. Your gear's prepped. Now the art begins. Phase 1, reconnaissance, the digital stalker. Listen to me. Every single successful operation in history, from the Trojan horse all the way to Stuxnet, was built on a solid bedrock of superior intelligence. You do not fire a single packet in anger until you know the target's network better than the poor bastard who built it. Amateurs rush this part. They run an Nmap scan, they find port 80, and they just start throwing SQL injection payloads at it. Professionals, we live in this phase. We are patient. We are ghosts in the machine.
So, let's build that map. We always start passive. We're war driving. Bruce is just silently logging every Wi-Fi network it can hear, building a picture. Once we have a target in mind and we get a foothold, let's say we get onto their guest Wi-Fi, then we switch to active recon. But you're not just running some noisy blind port scan. You got to be surgical. You start with a quiet ARP scan to see who's alive on the network. Then you move to a stealthy SYN scan to find open ports without actually completing the TCP handshake, which is way less likely to get logged. And you're not just looking for open doors. You're grabbing service banners, fingerprinting the exact software versions they're running. You're hunting for that one forgotten server that's running some ancient version of Apache with a known RCE bug. You're building a precision attack plan based on their specific weaknesses, not some generic crap from a checklist.
All right, let's take a deep dive. All you rookies, you know these ports, but you don't know them. Let's fix that. Port 22, SSH. You find it open. So what? What's next? Is password authentication on, or is it key only? Run SSH audit against it. Are they using weak ciphers? Is it vulnerable to Terrapin? Can you enumerate valid usernames? It's not just a door. It's a very specific kind of lock, and every lock has its weaknesses. Ports 80 and 443, HTTP. This is a whole universe of pain for them. Don't just look for cross-site scripting. Look for exposed.git directories, forgotten backup files, API endpoints that are leaking internal data. Use tools like FFU to just hammer it, fuzzing for hidden directories and subdomains they forgot about. Port 139, NetBIOS? Oh man, if you see this, you should start drooling. It's a huge sign of a flat, poorly designed legacy network. It's time to fire up Responder and start poisoning LMMR and NBTNS requests. It's an absolute goldmine for harvesting hashes. Port 3389, RDP. This is a gift from the gods. First thing you check, is it patched against Bluekeep? Is network-level authentication turned on? If it's not, you might get a shell without any credentials at all. If it is on, well, it's still a fantastic target for password spraying. Finding the port is step 0. The real work is figuring out exactly how it's going to break.
I was on this engagement once against a huge financial firm. Their security was a fortress, man. Top to bottom, locked down tight. We were getting absolutely nowhere. One night, I'm doing one last slow war-driving pass around their skyscraper at like 3 in the morning, mostly just out of desperation. And Bruce picks up this tiny whisper of a signal, an old Linksys router with WEP encryption broadcasting guest Wi-Fi old. Some marketing guy had set it up in a supply closet for a presentation like 5 years ago and just forgot about it. but it was plugged right into a live corporate network jack. That one piece of forgotten derelict shit was our way in. We pivoted from that one router and owned their entire domain in less than 12 hours. You never, ever underestimate the power of a thorough passive scan. The biggest vulnerability in any company is always some lazy bastard's complacency. And that story just perfectly illustrates the elite take on this. A pen tester takes a snapshot in time. We make a damn feature film. We'll map a network for days, sometimes weeks. We establish a baseline. What does normal look like? So you see that the CFO's laptop always disconnects from the VPN at 5 p.m. when he goes home, but one night at 2 in the morning, it's still active and it's talking to an IP address in a country they do no business with. That is your signal. A pen tester would have missed that completely because their snapshot was taken at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. We don't just find vulnerabilities in the code, we find anomalies in the human patterns that use the network. That's where the real keys to the kingdom are hidden.
All right, you've done your homework, you're a proper digital stalker. Now it's time to get your hands dirty. Phase 2 is the proximate attack. This is where you leverage your physical presence to get a digital foothold. We're talking Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, radio frequencies, RFID, the whole damn spectrum. It's time to turn proximity into pwnage. Let's break down how being in the same room can lead to owning the whole building.
Let's start with Wi-Fi. The DAuth flood, that's your sledgehammer. It's loud, it's disruptive, and it basically screams, "I am attacking you." Now, before you go and knock an entire company offline, you better check your rules of engagement. Doing this without explicit permission is a fantastic way to get sued into the Stone Age. The targeted DAuth, that's much more professional. It's a scalpel. But the real art, the masterpiece, is the DAuth plus clone combo. You clone a legitimate network, you surgically kick your target off the real access point, and when their device tries to reconnect, your evil twin is the strongest signal in the room. They connect, they get your evil portal login page, and you get their credentials. It's a beautiful, nasty little tango.
Okay, time for a quick deep dive on making that evil portal truly convincing. A generic portal, that's amateur hour. Bruce has a really slick feature for this. You can actually set the name of your cloned access point dynamically right inside your HTML file. Just look at the code on the slide. You just add that simple comment to the very first line. -AP equals your target SSID. When Bruce loads that portal page, it parses that comment before it even initializes the access point, setting the SSID on the fly. This means you can keep a folder on your SD card with dozens of pixel-perfect portal clones for any target you can imagine. Starbucks, the airport, a hotel, their corporate guest network, and deploy the right one in seconds. It's a tiny detail that makes your social engineering exponentially more believable.
I remember an op where that exact feature was the absolute linchpin. We were after this tech CEO. The guy was paranoid, really good OPSC. We knew he was flying out of an airport lounge. Now, hitting the lounge Wi-Fi directly was a no-go, too risky. But right next to the lounge was this fancy hotel. So I sat down in the food court, fired up Bruce with the perfect clone of that hotel's login page, and I set the SSID using that little HTML comment trick. And then I just waited. Sure as shit, about 20 minutes before his flight, the target connects. He's too damn impatient for the slow airport Wi-Fi. He enters his name, a fake room number, and then the jackpot, his corporate VPN credentials, because my fake portal had a little connect securely to your corporate network checkbox. We were reading his email before his plane even hit cruising altitude. His impatience, that was the only vulnerability I needed.
And this right here is that fundamental shift in mindset we keep talking about. For a pen tester, capturing those VPN credentials, that's the end of the road. You take a screenshot, you write the report, you send the invoice. The goal is the report. For an operator, that credential is the very start of the real mission. It's just a key. We don't report it, we use it. We log in at 3 in the morning from an IP address in a country that aligns with their normal business patterns. We move slow, we move quiet. We use that initial access to pivot, to establish persistence, to become just another ghost in their machine. See, the amateur shows them they found a key. The professional unlocks the door and walks away with the whole damn vault. Okay, let's talk Bluetooth Low Energy. This is a much more personal attack surface. BLE spam is great for creating a distraction. You know that sour apple exploit? It takes advantage of a flaw in how iOS handles BLE advertising packets to create a flood of notifications that can lock up and even reboot the phone. It's tactical annoyance. Media control is more subtle. You could remotely trigger a screenshot on an Android phone to capture sensitive information on a user's screen when you can't see it yourself. But the real weapon in this arsenal is bad BLE. It turns your Bruce into a wireless keyboard that can inject ducky script payloads from a distance.
Now, before you get too excited about Babel, let's do a quick deep dive, because this thing comes with a huge asterisk. Read the slide. I mean it. This is not a magic bullet. For Babel to work, your device absolutely must have been previously paired with the target device. Now, why is that? It's because the BLE security model is specifically designed to stop this from happening. The pairing process establishes a trusted relationship and exchanges security keys. Without those keys, the target's Bluetooth stack is just going to reject any attempt you make to act as a keyboard. This means there has to be a physical or social engineering component first. It's a two-stage attack. Stage 1 is getting them to accept that pairing request. Stage 2 is exploiting that trust from a distance, long after they've forgotten about it.
I had a target once, an engineer with access to all sorts of sensitive schematics. His laptop was a fortress, completely locked down. So we went physical. I waited for him to go to lunch, then I walked right up to his unlocked desk wearing a fake company polo shirt, holding my Bruce device. His desk mate looks at me and asks what I'm doing. I just smile and say, "Hey, I'm deploying the new ergonomic Bluetooth mice for the engineering department. It's a pilot program." I sit down, I pair the Bruce, which of course shows up as Logi Ergo Mouse M575, and it takes all of 10 seconds. Then I leave. Later that night, from my car in the parking garage, I connected via bad BLE. I ran a Ducky script that opened PowerShell, downloaded our payload from a remote server, executed it entirely in memory, and then cleared all the history. All because he trusted the helpful IT guy with the new mouse.
All right, let's get physical. Sub-gigahertz replay is simple, but man, is it effective. Most of the cheap garage door openers, gate controls, they just use a static code. Bruce can record it the first time you press the button, and then you can replay it whenever you want. It really is that simple. Now, more advanced systems use rolling codes, and that's a whole different ballgame. But you'd be shocked at how many places still use the old vulnerable stuff. Then we get into RFID access cards. With the old 125 kHz cards, it's trivial. You read the ID, you write it to a blank card. You're done. But for the modern 13.56 MHz MyFair cards, well, that's a much more complex puzzle, involving cracking cryptographic keys and really understanding the memory layout of the card, which we are going to get into right now.
Let's get deep in the weeds on how to clone a MyFair Classic card. A standard card has 16 sectors, and each of those sectors is protected by two keys, key A and key B. To read the data, you need to know at least one of those keys, but to make a perfect clone, you need to recover all of them. We use attacks like the nested or the hard-nested attack, which exploits some weaknesses in the card's crypto to recover one key, which then lets us recover all the others. Once you have the keys, you can dump the entire card's memory. But here's the kicker, the part that trips people up. Block 0 of Sector 0 contains the card's unique ID, the UID. And on a normal card, that block is read-only. It's burned in at the factory. So even if you copy all the data to a brand new card, the UID won't match, and some systems will spot that. To get around this, you need a special magic card that actually allows you to write to block 0. That's the secret sauce. That's how you create a perfect one-to-one clone that is completely indistinguishable from the original.
And this brings us to another one of those critical distinctions, target selection. A pen tester, they will always go for the flashy target. They'll clone the CISO's badge. Why? Because it makes for a sexy report. An operator couldn't give a damn about the report. We want untraceable, low-profile access. So who do we target? The overnight janitor, the food service vendor who restocks the vending machines. Their badges have a super low profile, but an incredibly broad level of access. Nobody questions the janitor being in the server room at 3 a.m. to empty the trash. Nobody even looks twice at the vendor restocking the snack machine right next to the executive wing. We want the keys that make us invisible. The goal isn't just to get inside, it's to operate inside without anyone ever knowing we were there.
And you can get even more creative. Bruce has infrared. Most people think that's for, changing the channel at the sports bar. We used it to get physical access to a Tier 4 data center. This place was a vault. I'm talking biometrics, mandrups, the whole 9 yards. But we did our recon. We found the exact model of their server room AC units, and we found the IR service codes online. Our guy sat in a coffee shop across the street, aimed a Bruce with a little amplified IR emitter at the building's main vent, and sent the command to turn the AC off. An hour later, alarms are blaring all over the place. They call in the emergency HVAC contractor, and when the flustered tech shows up, our operator, wearing a matching uniform, tailgates him right through security. He created a plausible emergency that allowed him to completely bypass all their normal security protocols. Sometimes, the best way to open a door is to make them think the whole damn house is on fire.
So you're in. Congratulations. That was the easy part. Now the real art begins. Moving through the house without making a single floorboard creak.
Welcome to Phase 3, Command and Control and Post-Exploitation. This is all about what you do after you get that initial access, how you expand your foothold, how you escalate your privileges, and how you become a ghost in their machine. This is where most pen testers get caught. This is where we disappear.
Spectre. Once Bruce is on their internal network, it is a viper in the garden. Let's talk post-exploitation classics. ARP spoofing. You send out a flood of ARP packets telling the target machine that your MAC address is the gateway, and you tell the gateway that your MAC is the target's IP. Suddenly, all their traffic is flowing through you. But the real money on a Windows network is name resolution poisoning. See, when a Windows machine can't find a host via DNS, it falls back to protocols called LLMNR and NBTNS, and it basically starts shouting into the void, "Hey, has anyone here seen /file server?" Bruce's responder function is listening for those broadcasts, and it immediately replies, "Yep, that's me, over here." The client, trying to be helpful, will then try to authenticate to you, which involves a challenge-response handshake. We just sit there and capture that exchange, which contains the user's NTLM-v2 hash. Then we take that hash offline and crack it. It is the absolute bread and butter of internal network ownage.
Now for a deep dive on the command line. The web UI is nice, it's for convenience. The serial command line interface, that is for surgical control and automation. Just imagine a script running on your attack laptop that's connected to Bruce. It could use the storage list command to check for a specific log file. If that file exists, it means a target's credentials have been captured. The script could then automatically trigger a sub-ghztx command to open a secure gate, wait 5 seconds, and then run a bad USB payload to log in to a nearby computer terminal. This is about automating your entire attack chain. You're not just running commands one by one, you're orchestrating a symphony of exploits. The CLI is the key to all of that.
I had Bruce planted on this network segment once, just running responder. It was dead quiet for hours. I mean, nothing. I was about to pack it all in. Then, bam, out of nowhere, my listener lights up with a fresh NTLM-v2 hash. Not just any hash, a domain admin's hash. After we cracked it and owned the whole domain, we dug into the logs to find out what happened. The DA was in a hurry trying to connect to a file share. He mistyped file server as file server. Just a single typo. His machine couldn't find it in DNS, so it sent out that LLMNR broadcast right into my trap. A single slip of the finger from a tired, overworked admin gave us the keys to the entire kingdom. It's a perfect lesson. Patience and position will beat speed and aggression every single damn time.
And this just perfectly illustrates the elite take. The pen tester gets the hash he pastes into the report. For him, the hash is the finding. For us, that hash is just raw material. We crack it, and with that clear text password of a domain admin, we don't just log into one box. Hell no. We use it to perform a desync attack and dump the hashes for every single user in the entire domain. We forge golden tickets to give ourselves persistent, God-level access that can survive a password change. We create our own stealthy backdoored admin accounts. We use that one key to become a permanent, invisible part of their network's infrastructure. Amateurs collect trophies. Professionals collect kingdoms.
Okay, so you're in. You've moved laterally, you are a god on their network. Now comes the part where you can turn a wildly successful operation into a very long prison sentence, if you get sloppy. Phase 4, exfiltration and evasion. This is about getting the data out and getting yourself out without leaving a single footprint. It doesn't matter if you pound the entire planet if you get busted on the way out the door. Getting the goods is only half the job. Getting away clean is the other half.
The core concept here is simple. Get your data, get your tools, and get the hell out. But that last point, that is the cardinal rule. Leaving a device behind is like leaving your entire playbook on the enemy's sideline for them to study. They will reverse engineer it, they will pull the firmware, they'll analyze your config files, and they will learn your tactics, your techniques, and your procedures. You're not just risking the compromise of this one mission, you're burning your tradecraft and risking every single mission you run in the future. You retrieve your gear or you burn it to a goddamn slag. There are no exceptions. I still get a cold sweat just thinking about this one. It was a cleanup. We got the data, we were out. We're halfway to the airport, and I get that sinking feeling in my gut. I'm running the mental checklist over and over, and I realize the Bruce is still tucked under a conference room desk, plugged into a power strip. We forgot it. The whole mission, our tools, our asses, all on the line. We could have run. We should have run, but we went back. Posing as careers, bluffing our way past the same security guards who had watched us leave just hours earlier, my heart was trying to beat its way out of my chest. We got it, but damn, it was such a stupid, amateur mistake that almost cost us everything. Retrieve your fucking gear.
And finally, let's talk about how you get the target's data out. A pen tester creates a file on the desktop called pwned.txt. It's loud, it's obvious, and it's great proof for the report. An operator practices the art of stealth. We do not pull gigabytes of data in a single burst. That's a massive red flag that will set off every alarm they have. We stage the data, we encrypt it, we compress it, and then we bleed it out low and slow. We use techniques like DNS tunneling, where we encode little chunks of data into fake DNS requests. Or we'll hide it inside normal-looking HTTP traffic, embedding tiny pieces of data in user agent strings or cookie values, spread across thousands of requests over weeks. The goal is for our exfiltration to be statistically indistinguishable from the background noise of their normal network traffic. By the time they even realize something is missing, we are long gone, and there's no network anomaly to trace back.
So, we've walked you through the entire kill chain, from doctrine all the way to exfil. We've shown you the tools, but more importantly, we've shown you the mindset. And it all boils down to this one question. A tourist makes a lot of noise. They take a bunch of pictures to prove they were there, and they leave their trash all over the damn place. An operator moves silently. They learn the environment, they blend in, they achieve their objective, and then they disappear, leaving the landscape exactly as they found it. The choice of which one you're going to be, well, that's on you. Now go be a ghost.